You're staring at your bank app. You just got paid yesterday, but the knot in your stomach is already tightening. It's that suffocating panic that it will never be enough. So you default to survival mode. You stand in the grocery aisle for 10 minutes comparing two brands of coffee just to save 40 cents. You feel smart. You feel responsible. You tell yourself this is how you build wealth. Stop. Let that sink in. That isn't financial responsibility. That is a sickness. That is the poverty mindset operating in its purest form. It is a literal disease that tricks your brain into believing hoarding pennies is the same thing as making dollars. You are clutching so tightly to the scraps you have that your hands are too full to reach for anything bigger. Every time you shrink your life down to save a fraction of a dollar, you feed the infection. You guarantee you stay broke. You need work shoes. You see the quality pair that will last 3 years. But the price makes your chest tight. So you buy the cheap pair. 6 months later, the sole's split. You go back and buy another cheap pair. Now you're heading to the airport. You could take a direct ride and be there in 20 minutes. Instead, you drag your luggage onto a bus, transfer to a train, and walk in the rain to save $20. You think you're hacking the system. Wrong. You are trading your unrecoverable time to protect a few highly replaceable dollars. This is exactly how the disease of the poverty mindset operates. It makes you completely blind to value because you are so obsessed with cost. You're the one driving miles out of your way for cheaper gas. You're the one spending 3 hours fixing a $10 item. You're bleeding out from 1,000 tiny cuts, convincing yourself you're just being careful. You are literally practicing how to stay broke. You're sitting at home on a Friday night. Your colleagues invited you to that dinner where the real industry conversations happen, the ones where partnerships are born. But you looked at the menu online. You saw the $30 entrees and your chest tightened. So you typed out a quick text. Can't make it, trying to stick to my budget. You put your phone down and eat dinner from a box, feeling a smug sense of superiority. You think you're being disciplined. Here is what nobody is going to tell you. That frugality you wear like a badge of honor? It's just fear dressed up in a cheap suit. You aren't being responsible. You are terrified. You cut expenses because it feels like control, ignoring the uncomfortable truth that you need to increase your value. This is exactly how the poverty mindset disease metastasizes. It convinces you that surviving is the same thing as thriving. And that lie guarantees you stay broke. You're sitting at your desk. You have a massive project in front of you. The kind of deep work that could actually move the needle on your income. But you can't focus. Your brain keeps flashing to the electric bill, to the car making that grinding noise. Rent is due in 4 days. You read the same sentence 3 times. You abandon the project and open your bank app to stare at the numbers again. The behavioral economist Sindel Mullainathan proved exactly what is happening to you here. He found that the feeling of scarcity literally drops your effective IQ by 13 points. Let that sink in. The poverty mindset is a literal disease that shrinks your cognitive bandwidth. It hijacks your mental hard drive. It traps you in a biological state of panic, forcing you to make short-term, desperate decisions that sabotage your future. Your brain is running on fumes. And that compromised thinking is exactly why you stay broke. You're sitting around a table with your friends. The drinks are cheap. The complaints are loud. You're trading stories about how rigged the system is. About your boss. About the rent. They nod. They validate you. You take a sip and feel a warm sense of belonging. Pause for a second. Look closely at that feeling. Here is what nobody is going to tell you. You stay in this exact spot because being broke is comfortable. It is completely predictable. If you are a victim of the economy, you don't have to try. If the deck is stacked against you, you are absolved of the terrifying responsibility of actually building wealth. The poverty mindset is a disease, yes, but it is a disease you actively choose to keep. Because the cure requires you to look in the mirror and admit your lack of money is your own fault. You choose the safety of shared misery over the lonely, brutal work of succeeding. And that guarantees you stay broke. You're driving back to your hometown for a family dinner. You just closed the biggest deal of your life. But before you pull into the driveway, you take off your new watch and shove it in the glove box. You walk through the door and immediately start complaining about how expensive groceries are just to blend in. Why do you do that? Because deep down, you believe that outgrowing your family's financial struggles is a betrayal. You think out-earning your parents means you're abandoning them. You think wealth makes you a bad person. This is exactly how the poverty mindset disease infects your identity. It forces you to sabotage your own success just to keep your seat at the dinner table. You shrink yourself so others won't feel small. You clip your own wings to prove you're still part of the flock. And that toxic loyalty guarantees you stay broke. Your tax refund hits your account. $2,000 unexpected dollars. For a split second, you feel relief. You consider paying off that credit card. But then the itch starts. You open a new tab. You browse for a new phone. You convince yourself you've been working hard. You tell yourself you deserve a treat. Within 48 hours, every single dollar is gone. Stop. Look at what you just did. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Your nervous system doesn't believe that money belongs to you. Your subconscious is convinced that abundance is a mistake. It believes the money will vanish anyway, so you have to consume it before it evaporates. This is exactly how the poverty mindset disease operates. It makes you physically allergic to holding on to capital. It turns a foundational opportunity into a fleeting, desperate dopamine hit. And that reflex guarantees you stay broke. You're staring at a massive opportunity, a course or a room you need to be in. You look at the price tag. You don't ask, how can I afford this? You don't calculate the return on investment. You just sigh and say the four deadliest words. I can't afford that. And just like that, your brain shuts off. You don't brainstorm. You don't hustle. You just accept defeat. Pause for a second. Listen to yourself. You say, money doesn't grow on trees. You say, rich people are just lucky. Every time you say, I'm broke, instead of, I need to earn more, you command your subconscious to stay a victim. This is exactly how the disease of the poverty mindset infects your reality. You use language that paints you as a helpless passenger. You are speaking your lack into existence. You build a prison out of your own vocabulary, and that guarantees you stay broke. You're staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m. Another month where the math doesn't math. You start running through the familiar list of people to blame. The economy is trashed. Your boss is cheap. Your parents never taught you about money. You build a watertight case for why you are a victim of circumstance. Stop right there. Look in the mirror. Why do you keep choosing this? Because here is the brutal truth. Blaming the system is easier than admitting you lack discipline. If it's the economy's fault, you don't have to spend weekends building new skills. You don't have to face the humiliation of failing publicly. This is exactly how the poverty mindset disease protects itself. It makes you fall in love with your excuses. It shields you from the painful work of growing. If you don't kill this sickness right now, fast forward 10 years. Same bed, same ceiling, same panic, still broke. You're standing at the edge. The sickness is completely exposed. You have exactly two choices. Choice 1. Close this video. Go back to hoarding your pennies. Go back to sitting at that cheap table, complaining with your broke friends. Let the disease win. Accept a small, suffocating life, constantly terrified of every bill, and die with a perfect list of excuses. Choice 2. Cut the infection out today. Stop defending your limitations. Stop saying, "I can't afford it." Force your brain to figure out how to multiply your value. Invest in yourself, especially when the price tag makes your stomach drop. Here is the final truth about how the poverty mindset disease operates. Wealth is not a math problem. It is a psychological war. You are either actively training your mind to conquer scarcity, or you are training it to surrender. The cure is choosing discomfort until you win. So what's it going to be?